discussion because just like what I said, it's a complex topic that needs to be discussed very well. Okay, so today we're going to study the kingdom Protista. So this kingdom is very important simply because it contains organisms that are eukaryotic. Again, in our past discussion or during your Anafi, we've discussed what is eukaryotic. Now, when we say eukaryotic, meaning they have a true nucleus, but you need to take note that they do not fit neatly into the plant, into animal, or in fungi kingdoms. So, in simple terms, protists are not simple organisms. What does it mean? That some protists are microscopic, some are very large, and some are harmless. And of course, some may cause deadly diseases. Now, that is why in this lesson, or that is why this lesson is called a sample of Protestant diversity, because we are only looking at examples but not entirely everything. Again, in this lesson, we are only looking at examples of kingdom protesta and not everything. Now, based from what I've said, why do you think scientists created a separate kingdom for protist? Bakit hindi na lang siya pinaghalo kay plant? Bakit hindi na lang pinaghalo kay animal and at the same time kay fungi kingdoms? Just like what I've said, simply because protists are eukaryotic but do not fit the characteristics of plants, of animals, or of fungi. So, hindi pinagsama, okay, yung kingdom for protists kay plants, animals, and fungi simply because hindi siya fit doon sa characteristics na meron si plant, si animal, and then si fungi. Okay? Now, I want to emphasize that Protista is not one uniform group. Again, Protista is not one uniform group. Now, this kingdom includes organisms with very different structures, with different modes of nutrition, and at the same time with different habitats. The only thing they truly share is that they are eukaryotes, that they are eukaryotic organisms, and they do not belong to plants, animals, or fungi. Now, given that statement, do you think or do you expect all protists to look the same? Based from my statement, of course, not. No? So protests are highly diverse. Diverse in what? Diverse in structure,
That's a good.
diverse in size, in nutrition, as well as in habitat. Okay? Next, we have here the presence of Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So according to him, no more pleasant sight has met my eye than this of so many thousands of living creatures in one drop of water. Now, you need to take note that Anton van Leeuwenhoek was one of the first people to observe protists. Using what? Of course, using a microscope. So using a simple microscope, Anton van Leeuwenhoek saw thousands of living organisms in a single drop of water. So imagine just by having or just by observing a single drop of water, madami na siyang nakitang living organisms doon. But no, of course, at that time, during his time, people did not believe microscopic life existed. But of course, with the help of Anton van Leeuwenhoek, this discovery completely changed. No, it completely changed biology because it showed that life exists beyond what we can see with our naked eye. So because of the findings or because of Anton van Leeuwenhoek, it gives us knowledge that even if we cannot see something with our naked eye, meron at meron pa rin yun. Again, just like what I've said, it showed no that life exists beyond what we can see with our naked eyes. Okay, now how about this question? Now, why do you think protists were discovered later animals? Ba't kaya mas nauna si plants, mas nauna si animals, and then later lang na-discover na meron tayong protists? Simply because protists are again microscopic and you need to take note that microscopes were not available before. Okay, so dahil nga wala tayong microscope before or walang microscope before, mas naunang na-discover si plants and si animals. Okay, next. Okay, so for this one, we have here a simple diagram. Okay, so let's start at the bottom. So all animals evolved from a common ancestral colonial choanoflagellate. No? After which, the sponges, or what we call now the porifera, such as bud sponges, branch off early as parazoa. So as you can see, after ng colonial choanoflagellate dyan, merong dalawang branches, which is the parazoa and the eumetazoa. Now, parazoa, they have they lack true tissues. So wala silang true tissues. Now, the remaining animals form the eumetazoa. Itong eumetazoa na to, kabaliktaran siya ni parazoa. Parazoa, they lack true tissues. Eumetazoa, they have true tissues. And then later on, eumetazoa was split into Radiata and Bilateria. For Radiata, these are animals with radial symmetry. Now, anong mga animals yon? We have jellyfish, we have sea anemones, and we also have jellies. Now, next naman, we have the Bilateria. Bilateria. Now, in Bilateria, these are animals with bilateral symmetry, and they have 3 germ layers. Again, for Rajata, they have radial symmetry. For bilateria naman, these are animals with bilateral symmetry and of course with the presence of 3 germ layers. Okay? Next, bilateria further divided based on embryonic development. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng protostomia and ng deuterostomia. Okay? Now first, we have protostomia, wherein the mouth forms first, which includes now your flatworms, your snails, your clams, and then earthworms. Next, in protostomia, we have here the branches Lophotrochozoa and the Ecdysozoa. Okay? So for the Lophotrochozoa, yun yung mga flatworms, yung sinabi ko kanina, mga flatworms, mga snails, mga clams, and mga earthworms. Now for the ecdysozoa naman, we have molting animals. Ano tong mga molting animals na yun? We have the roundworms, the insects, the spiders, and crabs. Okay? So those are under Protostomia. Next naman, we have the Deuterostomia. For Deuterostomia, it is where the anus forms first. So kung anus ang unang na-form, it includes now the echinodermata. Now what are these echinodermata? We have the starfish, the sea urchins, and then we also have the chordata. When we say chordata, these are the fishes, the frogs, the birds, as well as humans. Again, let's reiterate that. When we say protostomia, it is where the mouth forms first. However, when we say deuterostomia, it is where the anus forms first. Like, yun nga, sabi ko kanina, the starfish, the sea urchins, the fish, I should say, the frogs, the birds, and us humans. Okay? Okay, so these things are what we call now the protozoa. Okay, next, we have here the presence of the choanoflagellate. So choanoflagellates are very important protozoans simply because they are considered to be the closest living relatives of animals. So you need to take note of that. That the closest living relatives of animals are what we call now the choanoflagellate. For their structure resembles sponge cells. So this tells us something important about, of course, the evolution, that animals may have evolved from protist-like ancestors, which is the choanoflagellate. Now, this diagram shows us the basic body structure of a sponge, which has a simple body plan designed for filter feeding. Okay, so let's start. No, aralin natin yung structure as well as the function of these things. So of course, first, the water enters the sponge through tiny openings called the pores, or what we call the ostia on the body wall. So unang papasok yung tubig sa sponge through the presence of the pores, or what we call the ostia. And then after that, the water moves into the central cavity. Kung mapapansin nyo, itong nasa gitna. The water, I should say, the water moves into the central cavity, also called the spongicle. Okay, now lining the inner wall are what we call now the collar cells. Okay, the collar cells, or what we call the choanocytes that have flagella. Again, take note that these flagella beat to create water currents while the collar trap food particles from the water. Now, the amoeboid cells in the mesohyl, okay, as you can see, itong amoeboid cells sa taas, in the mesohyl, okay, it digests and transport nutrients to other cells. Again, the amoeboid cells digest and transport nutrients to other cells. And then the outer layer is made up of epidermal cell, wherein, of course, automatic na kapag nasa outer layer ka, their function is to protect. So the outer layer, made up of epidermal cell, protects the sponge. And then for support naman, we have there the presence of spicule. Okay, so sponges have spicule, which act like a skeleton. And then after that, finally, the water exits the sponge through the large opening at the top called osculum. So pumasok siya sa pore, sa ostia, and then lalabas siya sa may osculum, wherein nasa pinakataas siyang part ng sponge. Okay, now let's try to summarize now the different structure as well as their function. First, the pores or ostia allows the water to enter the sponge body, bringing in food and oxygen. Now the water flows into the central cavity, which serves as the main passageway for water circulation. And then next we have the collar cells, or what we call the choanocytes. So the collar cells line the sponge cowl or the central cavity and use their flagella to create water currents while trapping food particles. Next, we have the amoeboid cells in the mesohyl. It digests and distribute nutrients to other cells and help in waste removal. Now let's discuss pala the function of the mesohyl. Now the mesohyl itself, it is a jelly-like layer which provides support and houses cells. And then of course we have the epidermal cells. Now the epidermal cells from the outer protective covering of the sponge. So sa ngayon nagpro-protect sa mga sponge as a whole. And then we also have the spicules. Now the spicules act as a just like what I've said, a skeletal framework that gives shape as well as the protection of the sponge. And then finally, we have the osculum, wherein it is a large opening wherein the water and the wastes exit the sponge. Okay, so those are the different structures. Those are the different parts of a sponge and its function. Okay, next we have here the three-domain system by Carl Weiss. So Carl Weiss proposed the three-domain system, which are the bacteria, the archaea, and the eukarya. So based from this three-domain system, which domain do protists belong to? So saan kaya nabibilong? Saan kaya under si protist? Of course, sabi natin kanina, it is eukaryote or it is eukaryotic. So protist belongs to domain eukarya. But you need to take note that Protista is not a true evolutionary group. Now, scientists group these organisms together mainly for convenience. Again, Protista is not a true evolutionary group. Scientists just group these organisms mainly for convenience. Okay? So before we proceed or before going deeper, we need to understand these terms, these concepts. Okay, so let's discuss it one by one. So protists include protozoans as well as algae and slime molds. Now they can live in either terrestrial, in aquatic, in marine, and in freshwater environment. And most protists require moist environment to survive. So kindly take note of that most protists daw ay nananatili sa moist environment for them to survive para mabuhay sila. So kailangan nilang pumunta or kailangan nilang manatili sa moist environment para manatiling buhay. Okay? So again, protists are mostly unicellular eukaryotic organisms that are not plants, not animals or fungi, and again, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, they are commonly found in aquatic or moist environments. Next, we have protozoans. So protozoans are animal-like protists that are usually unicellular again. They're also heterotrophic and capable of movement because of the presence or because of using cilia, flagella, or pseudopodia. Okay, so that is protozoan. For algae naman, of course, as we all know, algae are plant-like protists that contains chlorophyll and are autotrophic. Okay, chlorophyll in performing photosynthesis to produce food, and algae may be unicellular or multicellular.